Shalom, ladies and gentlemen. Today, as always, we will talk about weekly Torah portion, Parsha Bemidbar. And probably you notice, according to the name, we begin the new book, the fourth book of Torah. And I'm actually very happy about this, because the previous book, no, it's a very important book of Vayikra, that has a lot of commandments and information, but it was a book of stagnation. We were standing in one place, building the temple, learning about the laws of the worshipping in the temple and the laws of the Kohanim and purity and impurity. But the previous book before Vayikra, Shmot, this was a book of journey. And we're coming back to that journey towards the land of Israel in the book of Bemidbar. We're actually coming back to our natural state as a Jewish nation, because what can we do about this? The first words that God told Abram, the first Jew, was the words were Lech Lecha, go somewhere without knowing where to go. Abram started to go, he began the journey, and still since then we always, as a Jewish people, we moving, we traveling, we immigrating, we constantly on the move. But Abram went to the unknown. Finally he reached his destination, and back then land of Canaan, what will become later on the land of Israel. But there is a big difference between the traveling that described in the book of Shmot to the traveling, to the journey that we begin today with the book of Bemidbar. Because in the Shmot we're talking about leaving Egypt. We're traveling from Egypt, from our slavery. It's a very important journey. It's something that we have to do every day, getting out of the Egypt. Or as a Chinese philosopher and the warlord Lao Tzu said, that the journey of 1,000 liye begins just with one small step. But our journey in the book of Bemidbar is different. We're not traveling from, we're traveling to the new destination. How many times in our history we had these processes of the people that were destroying the older regimes and destroying the empires, but then it's over because people didn't know where to go now, what to build now, and sometimes it's even ended up in a catastrophes. That's why the journey to the destination is much more difficult one. There is a story about the great Hossid, Mendel Futerfas, who brings the story even in his book. However, I heard so many interpretations of the story in the oral tradition that when one of those exodus from Egypt, or actually story of Purim, happened in the spring of 1953, when Stalin died and all the political prisoners understood that there's going to be amnesty and the people will be set free. Everybody went to celebrate. And Mendel was already with a very difficult problems with health because of many years, even decades, that he spent in Stalin's camps, in concentration camps and prisons. He stayed in his barak, in his place where he was sleeping in the camp. And he has a neighbor next bed who somewhere arranged for himself a rope. And he put this rope on the ground and started to walk on this rope. Now, Mendel never seen such a thing. Why would person will walk on the rope on the ground? And but then he was even surprised even more, because this person, he took this rope and he tied it to the two beds and started to walk in the air on this rope. He fell one time, second time, but then he was walking freely. So Mendel said, "What is this miracle? How do you do this?" Mendel didn't know that this person was an artist, an acrobat, and a rope walker in the Moscow State Circus. Obviously, being a Jew, he was arrested and sent to Siberia, where he met Reb Mendel. So Reb Mendel asked him, "How do you do this? Tell me, what's the secret?" So he said there are two rules how to walk on the rope. One, you have to find the goal. You have to lock yourself on the one point on the other side of the rope and disengage from everything that's around, and then you're not going to lose your balance. But the most difficult part is it's a moment that you have to turn around when you're losing the first orientation goal, and you have to find the new one. The book of Bemidbar, it's a moment when we turn around. We stop traveling from, but we're traveling towards the land of Israel. And we are in a much better position than our ancestors who left Egypt. Why? Because Avram Avinu, he already had this journey to the unknown. He reached the destination. We know where to go. Our ancestors, for the last hundreds and hundreds of years, they paved the road to the Holy Land, to the land of Israel. What we need to do, it's find our goal. It's to find our entry, which is a Holy Land, and not to lose the balance on the way. Have a safe journey. Good luck. See you next week.